Hey guys, welcome back to Pilar Orchids. Thanks for checking in. Today we'll give you a quick glimpse at our little phal wall, and it's more like a phal nook because it's not like the phal walls the rest of the YouTubers have, you know. But anyways, we'll look at what we've got in bloom, and we'll cover 3 super important topics, like the most important in the orchid world that you'll see on any of the videos today, and they're so important that I put pants on. Yeah, so let's get right to it. We'll start right at the top in our little phal nook here with a couple no IDs and these are some no IDs, the yellow and this purplish one. And then a named one that we bought from nursery, which is the Phalaenopsis Black Beauty. That's a really nice one. As you can see, it looks, if you saw it before, maybe backlit in one of our videos, it looks darker now that the light's mostly coming from the front. This pink one here is the Boss's, what we call the Boss's Pink No ID. So this is the spike on it there. We'll give little close up. Put on 5 or 6 flowers already and now they've faded. And so the bloom continues. It always does this. It puts on like 2 flushes at least. And it is growing a new spike as well. Sideria japonica, or Phalaenopsis japonica now, also been reclassified technically. So in spike, and hopefully we get to see this bloom in a couple weeks, maybe, I'm not sure. Our little hybrid that we've deflasked, not our cross, but it's a deflast seedling. First deflast seedling we've had put on a spike and bloom. Chiata Francis Picati, cross with Lulin Hotlip, I think, is the cross on that one. So, anyways, I have no idea what it's gonna look like. Little sister. Yep, little sister's in bloom again, looking awesome with their keiki. Take a look at the keiki. Yeah. Schilleriana finally opening up. Super happy about this guy. Gotta move. Oh, I'm killing the vanilla. I'm stabbing the vanilla. Oops. Super happy. Schilleriana is opening back up again. Oh. Finally, we're starting to get somewhere. This is one of our water culture experiment plants. This one has been in this cup. Try to get in there somewhat. I don't want to smash any. Been in the glass for about 8 months. Their no ID finally dropped all of its flowers, and this is an example. If you're new to phals, this is a good time to cut this spike. So that's a dead spike, and it's toast. Yep, ready to be cut. This one is the Jennifer Palermo is the name of this one. Gonna put on a few more buds. Really nice purple flower with white fuzzy hairs on the lip, the end of the lip there. And also in bud this is the reciprocal cross, I guess, technically. I've already done a video. It gets complicated about this plant, but this is the Jermaine Vincent. So this is a Violacea crossed with Tetraspis. Well, it's actually a Violacea crossed with Speciosa, is what the tag says. Anyways, I don't want to get into all that that's not what this video is about. That is not one of the important topics on the naming. Oh yeah, paprika. How could I forget paprika? Oh man. So paprika here, our other no ID orange phal. Just a cascade of flowers this year. She is so amazing. We just absolutely love this plant. We bought each other an orchid one time right at the start of COVID when there was a nursery that was open for a little bit. It was like one of the last things. And so we went and got each other these orchids. And this one, yeah, it's such an amazing. We love this plant. And I love planting them this way. I know I've done, I've talked about that before, some of the trials and tribulations of growing them, but I mean, I just love how that looks. So what are the important topics? Number 1, expectations. Having realistic expectations. So if you are a home grower, indoor grower, primarily that's what we do, then, I think sometimes when we watch these YouTube channels and we see people, you know, I talk about them, I kind of rag on them, called the Florida faction. That's what I call them. It's the group, you know, their leader is like Nature Nell, great channel. I mean, I love all these channels, don't get me wrong. That's just, let's say, a pet name I have for them. It's like Melissa Loves Orchids and Blanca's Orchid Garden, and there's several other channels on there. And I group like Ingram Orchids into the Florida faction as well. And I hate to say it, my favorite plant propagator, his channel, I kind of also group him now into the Florida faction. Just because you look at their plants and you just get like, I get so jealous. I get so envious. I just feel like maybe we indoor growers need to have more realistic expectations sometimes for our plants, which, you know, then kind of brings me back to another topic, which is that we should grow plants that are appropriate for our environment. And I mean, we try to minimize what we do, although we, as some of you know who follow our channel, we did get lights this year, although they're not. Anyway, this isn't a light video either. It pays to grow plants that grow well in your environment. So if you're like us, or you're like growing in Chicago or Wisconsin, indoor in an apartment, or like in Canada or something, then, you know, maybe obviously the Phalaenopsis are a good choice. Low light, you know, can handle some, especially the hybrids. Also, maybe some Paphiopedilums, you know, you could grow something like that. That's all I'm going to show you, the quick glimpse. So if you want a close-up of that flower we just teased you with, check back in, subscribe, and yeah, check back in next week. And maybe you will see that plant pollinated, because we're going to do a close-up of that plant and the one we just showed you next week. Anyways, shameless plug over. Let's get back to important topic number 2, which I think some people have, you know, struggle with, and I know we certainly did, and that's kind of like, what is a novelty phal? So you see this term, kind of novelty phal, thrown around. It can get really overwhelming. And anyways, if you see that term, don't bother about like what the species that went into. I mean, if you really want to know, you know, then you can. It's like Bellina and Tetrapsis, make a lot of them, I think Equestris. And so yeah, these, but generally speaking, like what you want to care about is like the characteristics of the plant that you will get, right? And we pulled them out specifically and we put them in these locations so we can kind of compare these two plants. So now I'll back out. I'm sure that was awesome with my pants and everything. Let's look at these two plants now close up together. The little sister on the right here, you know, the little sister, compared to our no ID, what we call paprika again. And so if you look at and compare these two, generally speaking now, the novelty phals are ones that, you know, kind of bloom in the summertime. And the flowers are typically smaller, and, you know, I think you can reasonably expect less of them. Now, we don't have any examples of the really bold colored ones, the flowered, like the LD Bear King and Bear Queen and all of those LD ones. And there's a lot of famous hybrids now that are super popular, and you know them, they're like these bold oranges and fuchsias on the novelties. But a lot of them are like the little sister, you know, we have a lot of spotting and pretty bold color patterning, but they will bloom sequentially a little bit, typically. And on these, the plants themselves, like the leaves are typically a bit lighter shade of green. They're not as large of a plant often, so they're much more manageable and, let's say, popular for the home grower. Now, if you compare it to like your typical, what I don't know, often here referred to as a moth orchid, your no ID, like grocery store phal, that's this guy, and it's pretty old, you know, or that's also this guy. again. Also, this is the boss's pink no ID. So you can see the difference now. The flowers are large. They stay on the inflorescence for quite a while. And they're just fuller flowers with rounder, petals. Now, yeah, there's other flower forms that are more round in the novelties as well. But you can kind of just generally see the difference overall. These are darker leaves, they're much longer and bigger plants overall. So, the light just kicked on. So another example, these two down here at the bottom are also kind of considered novelties. They're Tetraspis hybrids, and they bloom in the summer, a few flowers at a time on the ends of the inflorescences. They keep their spikes, they keep those, and so you don't want to cut them, by the way, if you buy a novelty phal. And then again, here's another example, lighter green leaves, smaller plant overall, couple flowers, they keep their spikes. There you go. That's kind of just a general view. The novelty is, again, smaller, green, summer bloomers, few flowers on the ends, really pretty. Some spectacular things. Don't get too bogged down into the trade. Just buy whatever flowers you like, really. The phals generally, we just give all of ours the same treatment, so we don't really treat too many of the phals differently. Your orchid maintenance interlude of the day. Perfect timing now that the lights just came on. Although it's pretty bright in here, I guess, in weird lighting. Sorry, lighting's weird. I'll keep it short. So here is our first attempt at dividing catasetums, and it has grown really nicely. It's putting on a few roots down in, you can just barely see some roots there. You see that little white? It's not focusing, but you can kind of see there's a root going down there, and it continues down inside. So that's great to see. But I don't know, it's really off schedule. We've already started watering our other catasetums over a couple weeks ago. And so now this one is off schedule with the rest, which I don't like. And I didn't really know what to do and how long I could let it go. The pseudobulbs, the old ones were really getting shriveled. Oops. The old ones were really getting shriveled, so I put some water down in the reservoir. I didn't water from the top. I just took in, there's a hole here. Well, of course, it was all the way. Anyway, that hole there, I just filled water in there and put a little bit of water, so you can see now there's a bit of humidity. Now, these old pseudobulbs, they were a division from another plant, and so they didn't have really many roots at all, and I chopped all the old ones off. So I'm not sure if they're going to absorb or how they're going to absorb. They're not really plumping up. They're a little bit better than they were, I feel like, but they were getting really, really shriveled. Anyway, so that's a confusing one. Now, what does this have to do with today's video? Well, here's the tie-in. The third most important thing is, I think, especially when new in orchid growing, you just got to celebrate your successes, right? So this is a success, I feel like, our first attempt at dividing catasetums and making divisions. So that I'm super happy about. Woo! There's another success. We're really happy. This is the Paphlemianum. So yeah, again, grow appropriate plants. To celebrating successes, to just kind of keep yourself going and pumped up on the whole thing. I think right now our biggest success in the phals is the recovery of our Schilleriana. We're so happy that she's come back and bloomed again. We haven't noticed any fragrance just yet. Maybe just a hint, but not too much yet, and hoping it will. It did kind of have a bit of a wonky, you can see here, let me go and zoom in on it. Oh, so we've got it does have an issue this year in that this little bloom you can see was one of two, that the fangs of the lip grew out of the, you can see how intricate the fangs are on these Schilderianas. It's really, this is a beautiful flower. This one is, and get on the other side and see these ones. But just how intricate it is. And they grew out of the, so you see this one kind of formed a wonky, right? So not perfect this year, but we're just really happy. We lost it last year. It only bloomed one flower, and it was kind of bad, and all the rest blasted except for, yeah, like 1.5 blooms. So the fact that it's doing this year, we're just really, really stoked about. Yeah, and hopefully it blooms all of them, and they all keep opening, and maybe develops a scent. Successes again, like on these two. Well, this was another recovery. The Sideria japonica, I don't know what happened. It just kind of, we started losing it, and the roots kind of died, and so it was recovery time, and thankfully it's pulled through and finally starting to become stabilized, like in the new pot. I say new. We repotted it like 6 months ago or something. And then yeah, success again with this, our first deflask seedling that we've had put on a spike. So we're really happy there that hopefully we can get it to bloom, see what it looks like. Thanks for checking in, guys. Hope you're having a good one, and yeah, we'll see you next week for a little Paphiopedilum pollination. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, another train wreck probably. Anyway, see you then. Have a good one.